or you from training?
Yeah, I just ended training, and I had lunch and had a meeting to prepare the next session, and that's it.
What time is the next session?
And it's tomorrow morning.
Oh, it's from morning.
Yes, it's tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you for joining me on this OTM enhancements podcast. So we'll be interacting. Having a conversation with you is always a pleasure. Always tapping into your genius football mind. It's always a pleasure. I have learned a lot from your genius mind. So even today, I know you will stimulate, you energize my football brain. So hence, yeah, I will just let you to introduce yourself to the listener and the viewer.
Okay. So my name is Renato Farinhas. I'm a goalkeeper coach slash assistant coach because I don't consider myself just a goalkeeper coach in the true sense of the word, of course. Um, in my view, I have to understand about football and about training as much as the head coach because um, the goalkeeper and the goalkeepers um, they play in function of something bigger than the individual, and I need to understand what the head coach wants for the team. I need to understand how the coach wants to train, and then I have to adjust my training to that, and the goalkeeper training for in function of those main ideas of the head coach. I have been a goalkeeper coach for the last 15, 16 years. I spent uh, half of those years as a youth coach. Um, I was in FC Porto for 5 years, and then after that, I decided to go to train with adults with first teams because in Portugal it's very difficult to bring some money to home to pay the bills working just with children. So that's why I chose that path on the adults or high performance foot. Um, I already had an experience in Portuguese second league. I was fortunate so far. I worked with many coaches that worked with tactical periodization and coaches that didn't work or don't work with tactical periodization. So I think I have a very diverse uh, experience in terms of training and in terms of football, and I'm doing my own path. And I'm 38 years old.
Okay, Coach Renato. So today, hence, we've been speaking offline or off air, where we have been saying, okay, Coach, I want you to tackle the methodological principles of tactical periodization from the first principle to the last principle. And even yesterday, we were joking about the connection. Like, can you please touch on the connection pattern between the three methodological principles?
Yeah, sure. First of all, there's not the first one and the last one. They 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 work all of them at the same time. Um, but I can start with the principle of horizontal alternancy in specificity because that's the one that will allow us to work our game idea in a certain context and um, arrive fresh to the next game. So we have to understand that we start the week or we started the week with the match, and there's a 4-day rule. For example, we know that only on the next Thursday, if the match is on Sunday. We know that only on Thursday, the players that did more than 45 minutes or more than 60 minutes will have that period of time to recover. So we have to understand that the players are recovering on that period, on those 4 days, and then we have that practice on Thursday, and that practice, it's one of the most important of the week, because we will give a simulation or a context where they will have big complexity problems to solve, and then they have to recover from that practice and arrive at the match on the next Sunday, for example, if it's a seven-day morpho cycle, for example, fresh. And that's the principle that allow us to arrive fresh, and that allow us to work our game idea during that week. This is a very objective way of explaining it. Of course, there are other stuff that we have to have concerns, especially during the days that we are recovering. And I can explain very objectively and very briefly, is that the fact that, okay, they are recovering from, for example, I don't know, if the day off is on Monday, and they will practice on Tuesday and Wednesday. So in these 2 days, the players that played more time, they are recovering. Of course, in the first day or in the first practice of the week, the players that didn't have so much time in the game, they will do something more, so they don't stay behind the others in terms of rhythm. So of course, when they go to Wednesday, all of the players are a little bit similar, because the players that played less, they are recovering from the practice of the day before, and we have the other players that play more time, they are still recovering from the game in Sunday. But we have to practice. And in tactical periodization, in this principle, there is something that we call we say that information controls energy, and we literally focus on this sentence, or on this thought, because our brain works normally with two systems. System one, the unconscious side, and system two, the conscious side. And the system one is very efficient in terms of energy, because it's from your habits. And we want, on those days that we are recovering, when we stimulate game situations or create game problems for the players, we want to create something that stimulates the system that is more efficient, in this case, system one. So we want to go to where the habits of the player are. So we create situations where they have to not to think, at least consciously. So we decrease the information. We play, I don't know, 5 against 5, 6 against 6, 7 against 7, 2 against 2, 3 against 3, whatever. It depends on the problems that you find on the team. For example, our team is not looking in front. Our team is using very well the width, but the depth, they are not using it, for example. And we create situations when we have, for example, jokers or neutral players that are in front. So they can, they use the width, but at the same time, they know that they have a solution in front, and they have to create solutions to find the goal of the exercise. If the goal of the exercise is, for example, 5 against 5 with goalkeepers, and there are other two teams that are out. I have neutrals around the exercise, but the position of the neutrals can give some propensity to what I want, but in a way that they don't have to think about it. It's not something that is new for them, it's not something that they have to be aware of. It's something new. No, it's something that is engraved on them, and the exercise will talk for me. I don't have to be talking to them to try to stimulate the other system in their brains. So I want things that, in terms of information, it's have a little information. So when I go, for example, to Thursday, okay, because they already have recovered from the game. In Thursday, okay, I will increase the complexity of the exercises, and the information will be something that will stimulate. It depends on the strategy you want to stimulate for the next game, problems that you think that the players are still not have that engraved on them as a team. So it's something that is not still in their habits, in the system that you want them to be. So you will create problems so they can solve it, and the quantity of new information it's big, because 11 against 11, we have a lot of complexity on this, and the duration of the exercises will be bigger, because you are already recovered from the last match. And then in the next practice, you will repeat what you did before the practice. This Thursday practice. You have to decrease the information. Of course, you can do 11 against 11 on those days. Of course, you can do, but you have to be careful about the dose that you will give, because you don't want to stimulate so much those that system, the system 2. Are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm there. I'm there with you.
But what was the last part that?
Yeah, I think I've because of maybe my network connection. Maybe I've lost the last part.
What was the last thing that you heard?
You're talking about increasing and decreasing the information during match day -1.
Exactly. So during the week, this alternancy in terms of information, in terms of complexity of the things, it is what will allow the players to arrive fresh to the next game. And then, of course, I already touched a little bit about the other principles, because the other principle is the propensions principle. It's about creating contexts that create a propensity on the tasks. I just gave the example of them. They don't look in front. They don't They are not taking advantage of the depth, and so I want them to look in front. So I will create some rules in the exercise that stimulates that behavior that I want to happen more time. So the exercises or the problems that I will create to the players have to stimulate a propensity that I want. For example, I want a team that will have to always be together on the pitch. If we go into the offensive midfield, I have to go together, and I can put a rule, for example, in the small games or in the big games. The goal to count, all the team must be on the offensive midfield, besides the goalkeeper. So I'm stimulating a behavior that I want to occur many times during the exercises, So the propensity will happen naturally. Okay, it's forced by the rule, but it will happen many times. For example, my team is not shooting or scoring goals outside of the penalty box. Okay, I will create, for example, another rule. The goal, if the goal is outside of the box, it's 3 points, not only one. It's 3 points. So they will value and very naturally with time, the shots outside of the box will happen more time. So I'm creating a propensity on the exercise so that thing can happen a lot of time, or more times at least. And then also associated, and I already talked, the complex progression principle. Many people confuse this principle and think that all of the time my team is always linearly progressing in terms of complexity. No, sometimes I have to go back and repeat stuff that we already made it well, and then we started doing it wrong. So I go back, and then I go up again. And even during training, sometimes the progression during the train don't have to be from the less complex to the bigger complex exercise. Sometimes, for example, in the -2, people like to use this nomenclature. But for example, in a minus in a situation of 11 against 11, for example, in a half pitch, and why not starting when they are more fresh? Because it's new. It may be new information, because sometimes coaches still work some strategy things about the next game on that day. Okay, so let's try to do that when their energy and their freshness is bigger. And in the beginning of the training, after warming up, of course, you can touch that. Okay, you stimulate that. Careful with the dose, of course. It's better to not be there 20 minutes with that. Maybe shortening the periods. Maybe two times 5 minutes, 2 times 7 minutes. I don't know. The dose, it depends on the context. But after that, you can decrease, and you will stimulate the system 1. Okay, because it's more efficient in terms of energy, and this is all connected, as you can see. I think it's this. I touch a little bit on the 3 methodological principles of tactical periodization. I don't know if you have any doubts.
No, in recent time, coach, is very rare to find a team that compete in the standard motorcycle. So let's say we are facing a situation whereby we are playing 2 to 3 times in 7 to 8 days. So how can we let's say we played on Saturday.
Okay.
And we played on Saturday.
You have 1 more day, right?
Yes.
So you have, for example, 8 days.
Yes.
So
yeah,
for me, the logical thing, it's always the same. It's like this. You have the day off. Coaches sometimes like to do the day off after the match on the +1. Others like to do on the +2. Okay, no problem. That's a good discussion. I have my opinion, but it's not the question that you ask. You ask about the 8 days morpho cycle, and then the question that you always have to ask is, what is the most important practice of the week besides the match?
So here, no, I'm trying to talk about, like, we play every 2 days or 3 days.
Okay, so it's less.
Yeah, it's less. Like, let's say we play on Sunday, and we have we play on Saturday, we have Sunday, Monday, and we play again on Tuesday. So we play every 2 games of every 2 days, 2 games, or every 3 days.
So that's an easy answer, because you are always recovering. You are always recovering, because if you know that the player need for at least 3 days to be fresh on the next day, so to be fresh on the fourth, they are always recovering. You can't. You have to be very careful with the players that are playing more time, and of course, you will manage also the players that are not playing, and maybe rotating sometimes here and there, to manage the load of the players that are playing a lot of time, because they don't have the time to recover. So if I play in Saturday and I'm playing, for example, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I'm playing here on the +3, I will have players that probably will be tired, especially older players, or players that have a game pattern, a specificity that on this game that tires him a lot, so I have to manage that. I have to know the players, to know. Just to give you an example, Carlos Carvalhal, a coach, Portuguese coach, he coached in the Premiership, in the Championship, in the second division in England. Are you there?
Yes, I'm listening. I'm a good listener, Coach. I'm a very good
Sorry.
listener.
The image freeze. And Carlos Carvalhal coached in the Championship. That has a lot of teams. They have periods, especially in December. They play 48 hours after, and because of the culture in England, the England players, the English ones, the English players, they were ready. They played on the Saturday. If the game is on Monday, they were ready. The Latins, for example, and the the South European players, they were not ready. So he rotates those players and the English players, because it's cultural, for them it's natural. It's something that is natural. They are tired, but the power of our mind is amazing, and the power of the culture where you are, and the beliefs, it's amazing. And so he managed his players like that, because for the Latins and for the European players that live in the south, that was not normal, and they suffered a lot on those kinds of competition periods. So he sensed that, okay, the English players, they are fine, and they weren't fine, of course, because 48 hours is stretching the and the risk is higher. But the players are always ready to play. The players are always ready to play, because they will manage. They will manage their bodies. They know their body. They will not run every time. They will run only on the right timings, because they have to manage that freshness that they don't have when you play three in 3 days. You are playing. So the player is smart. The players are smart. They will manage. They can play 90 minutes. Of course, they can play 90 minutes, but it will not be always the same. They will not play always in the same way. They will manage. They will choose the timings to run harder, to sprint, to do whatever, to make decisions that will make them spend energy during the game, but they will manage those times. And of course, we as coaches have to have that sensitivity to also help the players in those times. But in terms of the training, the morpho cycle, you are always recovering. That's why Pepe Guardiola, for example, he doesn't use tactical periodization. But I know that on those periods, he almost doesn't practice. But the players go to the pitch, they stay there. It's a very passive 11, almost 11 against 0. But just to give them some starting points, some informations regarding the way they can solve the problems that maybe the next opponent will give them. But he will not put them practicing the game 11 against 11 when they have 2 days to recover. Of course not. They have to be very smart on what they are proposing to the players. Sometimes they will go there and work a little bit and then go back again to the locker room because they have to recover. Of course, they are recovering in an active way, but they can't play. They can't have a normal practice because they are still recovering.
So in this season, I like it's interesting, coach. It's very interesting the way you are painting it on the canvas. So now in this situation, coach, let's say we play on Sunday, and then now it's Monday. Midday plus 1, or even with midday plus 1, midday minus 2, because still you have 2 days of recovery. So I want you to touch on the principle or the law of uncharts. How can we mandate the doses during these minimum days of recovery?
On the days of recovery?
Yeah, so using the law of uncharts.
Of the unconscious.
Sorry. We use the law of uncharts, the law of the principle of minimum, the law or like the law that just says small doses stimulate, moderate doses inhibit, and large doses kill. So how can you use that law in these days of recovery?
Okay. So in those days of recovery, Professor Vitor Frade created the metaphor, the logic of the colors, and when you truly understand the logic, I think it's easier to understand that logic in terms of what is a small dose, and so the professor describe our contraction patterns in terms of the muscle fibers as tension and velocity, and he give to the tension the blue color and the velocity the yellow color. And it's the relationship between these two when you are playing that gives the green, because sometimes you have to brake and accelerate, and then sometimes these two patterns of muscle behavior that will give us the green. And the green, the dark green, is you are doing 11 against 11, big pitch, big duration of the exercises. So this is the green. And how can I practice or stimulate our game in a small dose, but they will practice our game idea, but in a smaller dose and with our game idea. So are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm with you.
I was saying that So if you consider the dark green a real match situation, big spaces, big duration of time, complexity. So the light green is a small sample of the game, but where the player have always to give 100%. There's no management by the player when we promote an exercise on a recovery day. Just to give you an example, it's 3 against 3. 3 against 3, they will touch a lot on the ball, but in terms of the load, let's call it like this, it will be a very, very. I don't want to use the word intensity because it's always intense. It's always intense, but the they have to be always connected in a small space, so they don't have to be. They don't have time to think, and it's 3 against 3. They will touch a lot on the ball, a lot of times. So I have to manage in terms of time that period. But during that, for example, it's 3 against 3, 1 minute and 30 seconds. During 1 minute and 30 seconds, they will have to play hard, play. The coach will manage, not the player. The player always do 100% of him. Okay, and sometimes they will do. Let's say in a 3 against 3, I cut the ball in over the goal line, and then I just sprint to go finishing on the other goal that is like 30 meters apart. Maybe I can. Maybe you will achieve a maximum velocity situation, or I have a big break and accelerate, and maybe I achieve there a maximum tension moment. But that's not the problem. They can do that on the recovery day because it's a game situation. So their bodies are ready to play for 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's not a problem. So I'm stimulating our game always in a high focus and concentration moment, always in 100%, giving 100%, but only 1 minute and 30 seconds. So I'm stimulating what I use it in the game in terms of body. I'm using my body, stimulating I'm using my body doing what I did for 90 minutes or 80 minutes or whatever, but 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's why it's a light green context or light green exercise, because it's a smaller representation of the dark green, or it's some smaller representation of the game, but a little bit, just with a little bit of time. That's why we use this kind of exercises to recover in an active way, let's say, with the players by doing what they did during the game, but in smaller doses. I don't know if I'm explaining. You have any doubts, or did you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, you explain it well. You explain it well, so clearly, because now we like this calendar, like we always have these congested features where the coach has to be aware of the amount of load that is mandating on the players. So in this in this instance, like now I want you to speak about like how, like specifically, how can we not accumulate more lactic acid in these recovery days?
Okay. Let me try to give you a picture. We have three energy systems, right? We have oxygen, we have glycogen, right? And we have ATP, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So this is high gasoline octane, the ATP, but we have smaller reserves. The glycogen, it's a medium gasoline with good reserves, and oxygen, it's a low gasoline octane, but with a lot of reserves, right? Okay, so in these three systems, the glycogen after the game, the levels are very low, right? And they will be at match levels again only 72 hours later, 96 hours later, because it's for the rule, right? So on these days, what I want to stimulate is the relationship between oxygen and the ATP. I don't want to touch in the glycogen because the levels are low. So I will try to simulate situations when I use this gasoline, the ATP. So 3 against 3, 4 against 4, 7 against 7, 8 against 8, whatever. Smaller time, smaller doses, but I'm using more ATP than glycogen. Why? Because I do a small dose, I stop the exercise, and I give him time to recovery. One of the mistakes for me that the majority of coaches do is they don't give time between reps to the player recovery, you know, and then the player will be using this because from one rep to the other, they don't give time to the to ATP transforms in help me here.
ATP, the ATP transform to glycogen or glycolysis.
Yeah, but the ATP transforms in ADP, right?
Yes.
ADP, and the ADP will use oxygen to transform again.
Phosphocreatine, yeah.
Yes. So this process here between the ATP and the oxygen, it's the oxygen that will allow us to have our levels of ATP again a little bit higher, so I can use them again. So the pause between reps, it's very important, and sometimes the coaches don't have concerns about that. The pause is very important between the reps because I don't want to touch on the glycogen levels of the players because they are still recovering those. So it's this relationship between this high octane gasoline and the oxygen, this hybrid motor that we have, and for people that wants to go deep more on this idea of hybrid motor, I'm forgetting the name of the lady. It only comes Catherine Malabou, but it's not Catherine Malabou. Just give me some.
Yeah. So while you're checking the name of the lady, so I always see like now you're emphasizing on the process, like when we play in small spaces with short duration, but with longer resting duration. So I want you to dive a bit more on this situation. Okay. We are training small spaces, right?
Sorry. Again. Explain to me again.
I'm saying we are training smaller spaces, right?
Yes. For example, we can use small spaces. We can use bigger spaces. We just have to have concerns about the time that we are giving to the players in the exercise.
Yeah.
Let me put the cable to the battery because I'm losing a battery. Sorry.
No problem.
So just like you said, we don't have a formula. We don't have a formula, you know. there is no equation. So, for example, I'm going to do 3 against 3, and now I have to choose the time for the players to do the exercise. It can be 1 minute and 30 seconds. It can be 1 minute and 15 seconds. I don't have a formula. I had contexts where I had to start for 1 minute. I had contexts where I feel that we could start for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Sorry. So I don't have a formula that I can give you that works. This has to do a lot with our sensitivity, our experience, and during the practice. For example, I planned for 2 minutes and a half the repetition of the exercise. Right? For example, in the situation of 7 against 7, and I'm seeing that the players are making more mistakes in the end of those 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Maybe the 2 minutes and 30 seconds, it's not good. Maybe I have to decrease the time, because when you feel more tired, the players, they will make more mistakes. The decision making is not the best. They will do mistakes. So you must always be connected with what's happening, and see what I was saying that the players, the contexts are different. Every season is different, because the players are different. The coach idea could be different or not, and so this can work here with this time, but on the next context, maybe it will not work. Maybe it's we can give more, or maybe it's lesser time. So you have to, with your experience, you will find these small adjustments that you can make in each team that you have with the years. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, you did perfectly. You answered it exponentially. So now I want us to touch I'm just going to take you a little bit to the principles of or horizontal altercation in specificity. So I want you to touch a bit, just touch a bit more. Can you just touch, just go deeper? I know you've touched it a hand, but can you please touch it more, like specifically for the principle of horizontal altercation in specificity?
Well, we are in reality, we are talking about that principle, because if you understand that the player is recovering, is this alternancy between the match and the 4th day in terms of the representativity of our game in these smaller situations and in bigger situations on Thursday, and then again in smaller situations on the next day. It's this alternancy. That's why it called horizontal alternancy, because it's during the week, so it's this alternancy that will have that principle present, and even during the session, you can have also that alternancy. We sometimes call it a vertical alternancy. We go from this kind of exercise to an analytical one. For example, when we try to simulate, for example, a maximal extensibility moment on our arm swings, for example, in a more analytical way, to another situation of recovery, to a moment of maximum tension again, to a moment of recovery. So also in the practice we have that smaller alternancy, but the principle is all about the week. This principle. It's the 4-day rule, the 3-day rule. For example, when I have 1 day less, for example, I play in Sunday and then the next game is on Saturday. Let's see how can we solve this, because I have 1 less day to practice. Which day is the day that have more impact in terms of the freshness of the players during the week? It's a question.
Which day would be what?
Has the more impact in terms of the freshness of the players? Which
So
day?
It's a Sunday to Sunday motorcycle, right?
No, it's a Sunday to Saturday. We have 1 less day.
Or it's Saturday to Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. For example, no, it's Sunday to Saturday.
I think it's Tuesday.
No, it's not Tuesday.
Yeah. Which day is this?
It's Thursday. Thursday.
Oh, okay. Oh.
The Thursday practice has the more impact in terms of energy expenditure, in terms of the glycogen levels to the players. So that's the first one to go. If I have 1 less training in the week, I play Sunday and then I play Saturday. So I have 1 less practice, So I do a day off, for example, in the +1, and I practice +2, 3, -2, and -1, right? And then match. So the first one to go is the big one. It's on Thursday. We'll practice on Thursday, but not like a Thursday. I will practice like a Friday, so a -2. You are understanding what I'm saying? So
yeah, I'm getting the concept now. Yes.
So the principle of alternancy, horizontal alternancy, is always present. It's another way to see things, of course. But Renato, we have to practice. We have the 4-day rule. So on the 4th day, so in Thursday, they will be ready again, of course. But I have 1 less day until the next match.
In a Sunday to Sunday, it's Wednesday -3, but in a Sunday to Saturday is Wednesday -2. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have that big practice is not there anymore. So I have I can create and I can stimulate on these 2 days in the middle something bigger, But once again I have to be careful with the dose, because I'm still recovering from the match before, and the next game is just right around the corner. So I can do something. I can do a darker green exercise, but I have to be very careful with the dose. You understanding what I'm saying? I can do especially on it always depends, of course, and always you have always to feel the players and manage those players that may still be tired from the previous match. And I can give a darker green exercise on Wednesday, and I can also give a darker green exercise on Thursday, because it's a -2 practice. Let's say it like this. But I have to think that the game is just around the corner, and in Wednesday there are players that are still recovering. So that's why I like a lot of this methodology, because you can there are no formulas. That's the first one, and the second one, it allows you to manipulate things to the different contexts. And nowadays, for example, with big calendars in terms of competition, morphocycles with lesser days, because they are always playing Sunday, Thursday, and then they play Sunday again. So sometimes they have 4 days, sometimes they have 3 days between matches. So for me, this methodology, it's amazing on that sense, because you can play with these smaller things, but always thinking about the 4-day rule and the 3-day rule, etc. But for example, sometimes there are teams that are eliminated from the cup, the league cup that they have, or the national cup, whatever, or in the breaks of the national team competitions, and they have sometimes 8 days or 9 days or 8 days between matches. For example, they play in Saturday and only play on Sunday, so they have 1 more day. Now the problem is not they don't have less days. They have more days. They have 1 more. So the question is the same: which days have the more impact on the players? Just like we said, it's Thursday. So why not transform this 1 day in 2 days?
Exactly. So I just want to get your opinion here, Coach. Ne? Okay, we're in a situation here. We are playing on Friday, right? We play on Friday, and we're gonna play again the next Sunday.
Okay.
Which means we have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So
okay.
How will you plan your motorcycle in this instant?
Top question. Let's first of all, it's very important to see what is the pattern of the team. In terms of how was the morphocycles before this longer period between matches. Because it's very important to try to maintain a pattern. That's why we have biorhythms in terms of sleeping, or in terms of activity. For example, sometimes we have so many I was saying, to look at the pattern that was before. So sometimes we have 3-4 days, 3-4 days, 3-4 days, and then we have suddenly an 8 days gap or 9 days gap between matches. So the body of the players are so used to their rhythm that maybe we should respect that rhythm. So they are so used to practice 3-4 days and match, 3-4 days and match, 3-4 days and match, that sometimes maybe we give 2 days off or 3 days off, and then they have again 5 days of practice, because they are so used to have so many smaller periods of training between matches, that sometimes we respect that activity pattern, that maybe we can still continue with that rhythm. But now I have to look what's going to happen after, of course, because if the pattern will be 4-3 days, maybe this idea is good. But if the pattern will change, okay, maybe I can slowly adjust the pattern of training in terms of days to what's going to happen next. I don't know if I was clear or not on the explanation,
Yes, you are clear for okay. We play on Friday and we play the next Sunday, which means we have 8 days, coach. Which means we have 8 days, and
8 days. Okay, for the rule. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You
yes,
can choose. You can choose what to do in these 2 days. If you want to
yes.
do just 1 day off or 2 day off, you choose. It depends on what's happening at the moment. Imagine
So
that they won.
I saw
Imagine they won. They won a really important match here. Let's give him a reward. For example, and 2 days off. The planning was just 1 day off, but let's give him that reward. 2 days off, for example, and then we have uh,
Monday.
Monday. So
Yes,
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and match.
Sunday. Yes.
Right. So on this day, they are still recovering. Right.
Is plus is which is Saturday. Make it plus one.
But this one is +3 now.
Yes.
They play Friday. Right. So
Yes.
Monday,
Yes.
it's going to be a +3.
It's Monday. It's Monday's gonna be +3. Yes.
Going to be a +3. So they are still recovering here, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right before the match,
Yeah.
I have 5 practice after Monday. 5 practice. How can I do this? So I want to give them the most important stimulation is on that middle of the week, right? So, for example, I will transform the dark green day, or whatever you want, into.
This is interesting. But what about those that even didn't play on Friday, which means they're gonna have 2 days without training?
2 days off. Sorry.
We play we played Friday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. Those who didn't even play, those who played lesser than 60 minutes, what about them?
They have to work. They have to do something. Of course, if I do day offs, it depends on the context. Of course, if you are in a higher level, and it depends on the context. Of course, the guys that play less time, they can have a. Normally, they use the match day to do that extra work with the other players. If it's possible, they do, and then everybody has the day off.
So
Everybody
immediately after the game, they focus on the one that on the one that didn't play, right?
on the ones that didn't play.
Yes, I mean like we play here
once again, for me, it depends on the sensitivity of the coach. It depends on the game. It depends if we are away or we are at home. It depends of a lot of things because sometimes
True.
even for the players that are in the bench, the game is something that it also happens on their minds because they are connected to the game also because they have to be ready to go in. They are warming up, so they are using their body. So it's not just linear, Oh no, they didn't play. They have to do something right now, right after the match.
Yeah.
It's always for me. It's always about sensitiveness and the experience of the coach and the experience of the players and the level where you are. So it always depends on it. I can tell you that we have this formula. Every time after the practice, after the match, the guys that didn't play or play just a little bit, they have to do something. For me, it's kind of hard. It's not a linear thing, But as I say to you, if I have then the other days of the week, I will give a stimulus to the players that are not having that so much time in the game. They will have that stimulation, even if they don't do something for 2 days, for example, in the match, and the 2 days after, if I want to give 2 days off, but only with the 1 day off, they will have a stimulus. I know that is not the same thing. We all know that is not the same thing, but they will have in the middle of the week another moment to gain rhythm, to gain an ability to perform during more time in a high level of those, if you want to call it like that, because during the week and I have more days, so I will transform one dark green day in two, for example, and instead of doing one half hour of session, I do, for example, 1 hour and 1 hour in 2 days. With bigger field, bigger complexity, bigger duration, in terms of time of the contexts of the exercises, and those are the moments where you can give those players rhythm. I can do a friendly match in the middle of the week, no problem. Why not? Because I can manage the time that I will give to the players in the middle of the week without putting their ability to arrive to the game pressure.
So, Coach, I want us to touch on the logistics, okay? The logistics of the motorcycle. Let's say we are traveling on a plane about 10 hours, 10 hours plane. So what would be your advice when we arrive at the away game? Like, what should be the first objective of when we arrive?
Um, we are going to talk about again about the routines, the patterns, the biorhythms, the whatever you want to call it. Because if the player is used to do something, like practice in the morning, every morning, for example, and I have a 10-hour flight or whatever, I will try to plan things so he can have that stimulus on the right moment. For example, I'm going to play in Sunday in the afternoon, or in the Sunday at night, and I try to do in the -1 an activation practice, an activation session, and maybe traveling after lunch to where I go. But Sunday, it's the game is at night. So between the last practice that it was in the morning in the previous day, I have more than 24 hours. So it's a lot of time without doing what they are used to. So in the morning, I try to create, or we try to create something so they can use their body without make them tired, but at the same time they need to feel loose, and they are used to, the body is used to do something in the morning, but if the game is earlier, maybe I will not do that. It depends. Once again, it depends on your sensitivity. It depends of a lot of things. But for me, the advice is try to touch or change the less possible the routines that the player are used to. We know that it will not be always like this, but normally a professional player is always used to travel. For them to be in his bed at home and maybe in a good hotel with a nice bed, maybe they will not feel nothing in terms of the environment, because they are already used to that. But if a player is not used to traveling a lot, maybe they will um, they will have a strange feeling, about and the sleep will not be the same. So we have to think all about these small things that added can be a big thing and something that could make a difference in the match. I don't know if you
Yeah,
want.
I definitely understand. Yeah, but yeah, nevertheless, coach, thank you for making time. Thank you for making time. Where can the listener find you on your socials?
Sorry.
Where can the listener find you on the socials?
Where can people find me on the social?
Yes.
Where people can find me on Instagram and on LinkedIn. If
Oh,
they
yeah, just say your handle, your Instagram handle, and your LinkedIn.
I don't know. I don't know in terms quickly. Let me see. I don't have that in mind.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I wanted to ask you about goalkeeper coaching, like because now we see a lot of things during goalkeeper coaching training, whereby goalkeepers are wearing goggles and goalkeepers are being trained with finished balls. So, what's your view? What's your opinion on those kinds of trainings?
You see, the goalkeeper training appeared in the 80s. The first goalkeeper coaches that were ex goalkeepers appeared in the 80s, in the later century, and they tried to transfer and to make the goalkeepers learn their techniques, the way they used to defend the goal, and that was the first. Those were the first goalkeeper coaches, and then it was a time that the physical preparation appeared in a big the 80s. In the 80s, appeared in a big with a stronger impact. A lot of physical education coaches appeared. Very athletic coaches came to football. They were invited to football, and they started having an impact on that decade. And a lot of goalkeeper coaches try to use that kind of knowledge on their goalkeeping training. So the goalkeeper training was very influenced by the physical side from try to stimulate on other goalkeepers. And then on the 90s, the goalkeeper coach function from just bloom, and every club, every team has a goalkeeper coach. Then with the introduction of the passing rule, so the goalkeeper couldn't grab the ball if the pass was made to him. The training of the goalkeeper also changed a little bit, because now the goalkeeper was more into the collective side of the team. Offensively, defensively, the function didn't change so much. Only a few goalkeepers were kind of different in how they protect the space behind the team. The sweeper keeper, we had some examples in the 70s with Ajax, earlier sweeper goalkeepers like in the Grozic from Hungarian national team. Just a few examples, but they never were the rule, the norm. The goalkeeper was always in the line, always saving the goal. Then from the 90s and early century goalkeepers, things started to change in terms of the game, and the decision making started to be the important thing to the goalkeepers. Goalkeeper coaches start to have concerns about decision making, but for 20, 30 years, the goalkeeper coaches coached in a certain way, very analytical, very closed situations in terms of goalkeeper practice. And when they start to have concerns about decision making, it was very hard to change 20 to 30 years of history of training into a new way of thinking the problem, you know. And I think people confuse decision making with other stuff, you know. People think that if you create noise during the save, we are working decision making, you know, and it. So if I'm good catching a tennis ball, for example, it's because my brain is good on reading that situation, that the ball is bouncing against the wall, for example, and I catch. And people think that I'm stimulating the decision making of goalkeepers by doing that. It's, for me, it's a mistake, and it's a misinterpretation of how our brain works. Our brain doesn't work in a reacting way. Our brain is always anticipating what's happening, always reading. Our system one is always working for us, always working for us. And our system two help us in some situations when we have the time to think. And sometimes, and normally 90% of the time, the goalkeeper doesn't have time to think. So it's system one that is always answering to the situations. Our brain is always answering the situations in an unconscious manner, you know. So when I see people, coaches, doing other stuff without a context behind, I know what the goal is, but for me, based on what neuroscience says, it's a misinterpretation. Decision making, it's not a linear A plus B thing. No, it's a minus A thing that is happening, and my brain is reading, and then the A plus B will happen accordingly what's happening before, you know. So if I'm in a game situation and the ball is shooted and the ball deflects on a body, it's completely different if I deflected with an object, if I deflected with a cone, if I deflected with whatever. If I
deflected with a machine.
Sorry?
I'm saying if like you also deflected it with a machine.
Exactly. With a machine, because our mind will, and it will read what's happening. It will not transfer that thing to the game, because it's not related to the game. It's related to that context, and that context is the ball will be deflected by a cone. So my brain is anticipating the deflection in the cone. It's completely different if it's in a game with a body or with a ball touching the chest. You know, there's the transfer to one thing to another. It's very hard. You know, I know what is the goal. I know what the goal is and the intention of the coaches, and I don't have anything against. But I think it's a misinterpretation. You know, the decision making is all about what's happening when the opponent is shooting, where is the ball, where are my teammates, where is the goal, the space between me and the ball, and what's happening around the ball. And it's different. I'm not saying that they are wrong and that I'm correct. I'm just based on what I read about neuroscience. And neuroscience talk about this. This is very clear. The decision making, it's always
open and dynamic.
It's all conditioned by our unconscious. If I'm thirsty and I see a Coca-Cola bottle, and if I'm thirsty and I like a lot of Coca-Cola, my unconscious will say, go and drink it. And in football, you go and drink Coca-Cola. You don't have the time to say, no, I will drink water. No, because what I want, and my unconscious will tell me what I want and what I'm used to. And that's why I talk about the positivity and about the impact of emotions in the learning process, and especially the positive emotions, because there are a lot of people that are always focusing on the negative, on the mistakes, and we have to learn from mistakes, but we learn a lot with the positive things. Positive things happens in the context of great emotional impact, and if you celebrate those things, I will assure you that moment will have much more impact than the negative, that a mistake and a learning moment or a learning process about that mistake. No, the positive thing will help you in other similar situations to do the same thing again. So
that is so profound. That's very profound, Coach. I truly agree with you in this instance, because people are most focused on the near transfer. I don't know, maybe you've heard about near transfer.
Yes, near transfer.
Yeah, so where like they think in their mind that if a person can react this way, and this will happen in a match, but beside the match context. Yeah. So, but Coach Renato, thank you very much for your time, sir.
My pleasure, man. Every time you want, we can talk whenever you want. No problem.
Sure, thank you.
You stop it. You stop the record.
Yeah. Yes.
So, what have you been doing, man?
Man, I'm being